The containment facility on Kepler 442b had held prisoners from 17 different species over its 3-century operation. The Vorthak Imperium prided itself on its psychological warfare techniques, methods refined through generations of breaking the will of conquered peoples. None had ever resisted for more than 6 months. Commander Zeth Ka observed the human through the reinforced viewing panel, his 4 eyes narrowing in frustration. 3 years. 3 full rotations around the system's star, and the creature still refused to yield. Specimen 7749 shows no signs of compliance, reported his assistant Vex Ka, consulting the holographic display floating between her clawed fingers. Neural scans indicate persistent resistance patterns. The subject continues to sing. Indeed, from within the sterile white cell a low humming emanated. The human, who had given his name only as Marcus Chen, Sergeant, United Earth Defense Corps, sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, producing a melody that somehow carried through the supposedly soundproof barriers. Zeth Ka's mandibles clicked in irritation. The Vorthak had perfected isolation torture centuries ago. Complete sensory deprivation, irregular feeding schedules, temperature fluctuations, and most devastatingly, absolute silence. They had broken Kreen warlords, Xiphos philosophers, even the notoriously stubborn granite-born of Titan 7. But this human simply adapted. When they had first captured Marcus during the siege of Luna Colony, they had expected another easy victory. Humans were a young species, barely 3 centuries into space travel. Their psychology should have been primitive, easily manipulated. Instead, Marcus had done something unprecedented. He had begun to talk to himself. Day 1, he had said, aloud in his cell. Temperature approximately 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Gravity feels about 0.8 Earth standard. The walls are some kind of polymer composite. When the Vorthak realized he was maintaining sanity through self-narration, they had installed dampening fields to muffle all sound. Marcus had simply switched to tapping rhythms against the wall with his knuckles. They removed his ability to touch the walls by suspending him in an energy field. Marcus began counting his heartbeats, timing his breathing, performing mathematical calculations in his head. His neural patterns are unlike anything in our database, Vexka continued, her voice carrying a note of grudging admiration. Where other species show degradation markers, despair, hopelessness, identity fragmentation, this human exhibits adaptation responses. His brain is literally rewiring itself to find new sources of stimulation. Zeth Ka pulled up the comprehensive files on Earth's history. What he found there had initially seemed irrelevant, a species that had spent millennia warring with itself, surviving ice ages, plagues, and countless disasters. But now, studying the psychological profiles, he began to understand. Humans were not just stubborn. They were engineered by their evolutionary history to endure. The subject has begun a new behavior pattern, announced the monitoring AI. He appears to be constructing complex scenarios in his mind, complete with detailed characters and narratives. Through the viewing panel, they watched Marcus sitting, motionless, but the neural scanners revealed incredible activity. His brain was generating entire worlds, complete with sensory input his mind was providing for itself. Impossible, Zeth Ka muttered. No mind can sustain such detailed hallucinations without fracturing. But the human mind, shaped by evolution, on a planet that had tested their species in every conceivable way, had found yet another path to survival. Marcus wasn't hallucinating. He was creating. His mind had become a universe unto itself. Days passed, then weeks. Marcus began making tools from nothing, fashioning exercise routines that required no equipment, developing elaborate mental games. When the Vorthak realized he was composing poetry in his head, they attempted direct neural intervention. Marcus smiled for the first time in months when he felt the alien probe touch his consciousness. "Hello there," he said aloud, and the technician operating the neural interface jerked back as if burned. He spoke to me through the link," the technician reported, his voice shaking. His mind felt the intrusion and turned it into conversation. That night, Zethkar stood before the Imperium's High Council, delivering a report he had never imagined he would give. "The human cannot be broken," he stated simply. "We have exhausted every technique in our arsenal. Isolation has made him more creative. Discomfort has made him more adaptable. Pain has made him more determined. We have not broken his spirit. We have refined it." Grand Admiral Vakza, whose own species had fallen to Vorthak psychological warfare in less than a month, leaned forward. "You are telling us that a single human has defeated our most advanced systems?" "Not defeated," Zethkar corrected. "Transcended. The human mind, when stripped of everything external, simply creates everything it needs internally. They are not just resistant to our methods, they are immune to them." The following day, Marcus was transferred from the containment facility to the diplomatic quarters. When Zethkar met him in person for the first time, he found a being who should have been broken beyond repair, but instead stood straight, clear-eyed and remarkably still humming that same melody. "Beethoven's Ninth Symphony," Marcus explained, noting the commander's curiosity. "I've been working on memorizing the entire piece. I'm on the fourth movement now." 3 years of isolation," Zethkar said, his voice carrying a mixture of disbelief and respect. "How?" Marcus considered the question seriously. "My species spent 200,000 years learning that the only way to survive was to never give up. We walked out of Africa with nothing but our minds and covered the entire planet. We built cities on swamps, farms in deserts, and homes in the Arctic. We split the atom and touched the stars." He paused, meeting all 4 of the alien's eyes. "Did you really think a quiet room would stop us?" As the first human-Vorthak peace treaty was signed 6 months later, Marcus Chen became something unprecedented in galactic history, a prisoner of war who had not only survived unbroken, but had taught his captors the true meaning of resilience. The Vorthak Imperium's psychological warfare program was quietly disbanded the following year. After all, there was no point in perfecting tools that had been rendered obsolete by the simple, unbreakable fact of human nature.